and we can get started. All right. So we've got two of our youth on, and then we have one of our staff on. Mike, I think you can, hopefully you can see him. But so tonight we have Mike Brown, and Mike, I'm going to let you tell them exactly what you do, because I know you are a lobbyist within the legislature, but I know there's lots of other things that you do. So, okay. Mike also sits on our Extension Advisory Council and is located here in Washoe County. So.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. And if you can see me, I'm wearing glasses because I have to see them in order to see anything up close. And so if I'm going to do anything on the keyboard, I got to be able to spot things right away. But my name is Mike Brown, and as Carrie mentioned, we sit on the Cooperative Extension Advisory Board together. But, you know, a long history that I have is I've been in the public safety arena for the last 38 years. 2 years ago, I retired from the North Lake Tahoe Fire Protection District, where I was a fire chief for the last 10 years. I started out as a firefighter, paramedic, and then worked my way up to when I became the fire chief one day. Nothing I ever wanted to attain, but I sort of fell into the job and I really enjoyed it. Best part about what I do and what I get to do now is I work closely with the public. As Carrie mentioned, I'm a lobbyist. I'm a paid lobbyist with R&R Partners, and I handle a lot of our government affairs work when it comes to working with the state on the law side, the fire side, but then I'm also heavily into the mining side of things, and I work closely with our mines here in the state of Nevada, the Nevada Mining Association, and then I get to work on quite a few issues that have to do with water. And water right now, we may not realize it, but if we don't start doing something about our water situation throughout the state of Nevada here now, we're going to have some greater problems in the future. So with that, my day-to-day activities are mainly I just monitor a lot of bills, but I also have bills that we've sponsored in legislation. And with that, I get a lot of opportunities to talk to our legislators. And for those of you that met Marilyn Kirkpatrick, sounds like last week, Marilyn and I worked together for many years. As a fire chief, I also was in charge for the state of Nevada Fire Chiefs Association of handling all of our legal law changing issues that had to do with legislation. So I've been a representative for many years. So not just lobbying now as I do, but I also lobbied for many years on the public safety side while working for the fire department. So with that, I was flattered to have Carrie ask me to give you guys a little overview of the legislative activities, and I'm sure Marilyn did a great job. She taught me many, many things for the many years she's been there, and I still learn from her. But, you know, as Carrie and I were talking earlier today, we have interns where I work, and our interns are future lobbyists, but they're also future lawyers, future leaders, future legislators, and most of them are going to college to be a lot of various things that have to do with both political science as well as the legal side of things. Who knows? We got journalism folks, we got a lot of them. And one thing we do every session when we have our interns is that we have a couple of days where we get to do exactly what I'm going to talk about today, and that's presenting legislation. And some of the things that I've learned through both trial and error, which can take place on the good side and the bad side. So can everybody hear me okay before I start going through things? Good deal. So one thing that I talked to Carrie about that you guys may all want to do is to go to the Nevada Legislature website and actually go into the lobbyist section, and it's actually labeled as lobbyist. And you can go online, and they have rules on what we are supposed to abide by while in the building and then while presenting. And it pretty much just lays out for us what we need to do to ensure that we are doing everything correctly when we're addressing the different committees, when we're meeting with our legislators, everything from meetings inside the buildings to meetings outside the buildings. And I'm going to just start off by talking how we work when we're inside the building and getting ready to set up for some type of presentation that we potentially may be giving. So, you know, dress is a big thing. We want to be able to dress for success, and that's a term that we use a lot. So for most of us at our organization, we try to dress appropriate to the presentations that we're going to be providing. And when you go over there, you'll see people walking around in suits. You'll see in pantsuits. You'll see ties. You'll see jackets. Well, you see other people that are dressed in relaxation wear as well. And those could be some of the folks that work in the agricultural industry, the mining industry, the fire industry. It just depends on where they're coming from. But as far as it goes for us, we wear usually a jacket, shirt, tie, and all of us have to have name tags on. Your name tags actually designate that you're either a paid or a non-paid lobbyist. So, we just want to look good. And I'm sure everybody understands how that works, because every day we try to get up, go to school, do our jobs, whatever it is, and we make sure we present ourselves in a great way. One thing about the building, and I hope that sometime we get a lot of you students over there to do a overview of the entire legislative building, because there's a total of 4 floors. And so I always try to get over early and make sure I know exactly where I'm going, because every room has a number associated with it for the different committees. And you want to get there on time, and you want to get in your location to where you can get comfortable. And so it's always good to know the different sides of the building and what's going on. Notes. I work on a lot of notes before I do my presentations, and I call them my cheat sheets, but also my brain teasers. If I'm going to get up and do a presentation, I want to make sure that I'm knowledgeable, that I'm clear to understand, and that if I have any questions from the folks that we're presenting to, I'm somewhat prepared, hopefully totally prepared, to answer any questions that come up. And notes are always something that's good to have in hand. And it's always good to have a pencil and paper with you. So if somebody does ask you a question, you can actually write that down. If you can't answer at that time, then you can always tell them, you can get back to them. And, so let's start with something easy. Who do we talk to? Well, we get to talk to the different members of our legislature, which could be senators or assembly people, both men and women on both sides. There's just different committees that we go and present to. So let's talk about 4-H. It'd be neat to see a lot of you present on the agriculture side, because I'm sure that you're very well versed in that. But potentially we could have our students and our folks from the 4-H program presenting on the budget that has to do with a cooperative extension budget when it comes to the University of Nevada, Reno, and Las Vegas, and how 4-H actually works into the system and how valuable it is to our system, to not only the folks who participate into it, but everything that goes along with that. So, you can present it to the various different committee members. One thing you want to remember, I'll tell you right now, I've been doing a lot of presentations throughout my career, and every time I go up to present, I get nervous. But one thing that I always do to calm my nerves is I realize that the folks that I'm going to be talking to, that are the committee members that we're going to be presenting to, are just human beings like you and I. Some of them are moms, some of them are dads, some of them are husbands and wives, and they've all been where we're sitting when it comes to our presentations. And nerves are okay, because nerves keep you on top of your game. So, I've been doing this a lot. People say you always seem so comfortable. Well, they don't know what's going on with the center of my belly. And I can tell you it's okay to be uncomfortable, because you're going to do just fine. It actually keeps you sharper. So your notes will help you to present in a good way, and it'll help you get over that feeling of, oh boy, here it comes, but that uneasy feeling. So how does that work? So you usually enter the room, there's usually folks that are sitting there, and they've got to have literature that's going to be presented for everybody to review. So if we're going up to talk about an item that could potentially go for a vote, we've got to make sure we provide them with all the information. Now, that doesn't mean that you as a presenter have to bring your information and provide it to them. No, you don't have to do that. But they do like you to sign in. And when you sign in, they like to know what you're there to speak for. And most of everything has a bill number attached to it. So it could be a bill draft. So we call those BDRs. So it could be a bill draft, and then it'll have a number on that. And you can actually write that in, and you can put that number down. Then it's going to ask you whether you like to speak, and then if you're for, neutral, or against the bill. So if you're going to speak, it's always good to check the box, but you don't have to, because you can make a decision whether you want to speak or not as the committee's hearing what's going on. But if you are going to speak, you want to be ready for them to ask you a few questions before you sit down to speak, and they want to know your name, they want to know your address, and a few things like that. So just be prepared. Everybody is there to work with all of us and work for us, and I've never seen anything go sideways when it comes to getting prepared and going up to speak before we get up to where we're going to be sitting. So let's talk about that. So you enter the room. Every one of these committees are taped. So what I mean by that is there's cameras. So once things start, you get the committee members down. Usually the chair of the committee goes over the rules for the House. And they first want to welcome everybody, and then they go over their rules on how they want business to be conducted within their committees. And most of the rules I've seen are all something that we're very used to when we're in public areas. The first thing they ask is everybody to silence your cell phones. So if you have a cell phone, they either want it turned off or they want to put it on vibrate. And the same thing goes with our computers, because computers can make noises that can be distracting the committee as well. So they want everything silenced. And then they go over on how the rules are for the committee meeting. And they'll tell everybody that's going to present today that they'd like them to sit at the desk. They'd like them to use the microphone. They'd like to give them their name. And then if they're for, neutral, or against the bill. So for essence, last week I had to go up and represent Assemblywoman Swank and Senator Gokachia on a bill that they brought forward. It was called ACR 4, which would be Assembly Committee Resolution number 4, and it had to do with forming a committee to look at our wildfire issues in the state of Nevada. And so we were for that. And so as I went up, I sat down, I introduced myself, gave him my name, Mike Brown, representing the State Fire Chiefs Association, and we are here for the passage and representing that we are for this, and we'd like to tell you why. And then we gave him a short synopsis of what was taking place. So, I got a little bit ahead of myself, but as we enter the room and you sit down, I was going about talk about cameras and what's going to take place. So every one of these committees has cameras so that they can televise not only to the public, but down to Las Vegas, so people can see in Vegas and have the opportunity, even in Elko and other areas at times, to do some type of introduction or speaking just like we would here in Carson City. So there's usually about 30 to 40 chairs that are available for folks to sit in, and you face all the assembly members and the members of your committees. They face you. One thing to remember about cameras is they're going to pick up everything that's going on. So if you're sitting there and the camera's got you on camera, you want to make sure that you're sitting there in a professional manner. You really want to try to get away from working on your phone, working on your computer, talking to other folks. You want to try to be intent on what's taking place with the committee and what's going on, because everything's on the camera. And folks are watching that anywhere where they can get in. They can find it live on the website, and they can watch it. We do that daily. We have people that do nothing but watch the committees and see what's taking place if we're unable to be there in person. So I always tell people is that you want to make sure you take care of each other. And what we try to do as members of our lobbying team is we want to make sure we look good, we look presentable. And, it's one of those deals where you want to make sure that if somebody's buttons are unbuttoned, you want to make sure they button them up. If their zipper's down, you want their zipper zipped up. If they've got funny socks on, you want to make sure their socks are covered up, because all that can be seen on the cameras. So it's always good to take care of each other. It's almost like a spot check before you start getting up and get ready to start presenting. So you're sitting there, you're listening to what's taking place, and now the time has come to when we actually get to participate and make comments on what's taking place with whatever item is that's on that committee report. So in all the rooms at the legislative building, they have a desk. The desk is built in that faces everybody on the committee, and they normally have 3 chairs there. And one thing I always try to do is go up as a team. I've had to go up by myself with nobody else presenting, but you always feel better when you got somebody on your right, your left, or your other end to the other end. So they'll always take people at 3 at a time, and you'll go up and they'll give you a few rules. They'll say, hey, we're glad to have you here today. Before you make a comment, make sure you press the microphone and give us your name. So one thing about that is after you've introduced yourself, you've given your name and told them what you're there for, once you start addressing the committee, it's always good to address the chairman first. And you want to thank them for allowing you to be before the committee today. And you want to go ahead and just start with your presentation. If your presentation ends and somebody is to ask you a question, then a lot of times you'll notice that people will say through the chair to answer the question of assembly such and such, and then you can answer that question. But you want to begin with, like as myself, I'd say, and for the record, this is Mike Brown answering the question through the chair for assembly person or senator such and such. But I'll tell you guys right now, if you forget, don't worry about it. Because if there's anything that you missed, the chairperson will help to bring you up to speed by asking you to repeat your name or to be a little clearer on something or such and such. So, it's pretty laid back and simple. And that's the biggest thing I find is after I start talking for a couple of minutes, then you start getting into your comfort point and you can see that they're there to actually help you and make sure you're successful with everything that you're presenting to them because they're getting educated by us as well. So, it's a lot of good that can come out of this. And again, I just got to stress that preparation is one of the biggest issues. along with preparation is, and what could that be? So, I'm going to go back to 4-H because I know that's what most of you are with. My kids did 4-H growing up. My daughter did lambs, and it was always interesting the education she got from the different folks that did lambs with her. So I would say, if she was there to speak on something that had to do with 4-H, she'd probably zero in on something that she was comfortable with. And so that's what I would encourage you to do as well. Find your comfort zones within the area that you're going to be speaking, and then prepare yourself and get ready to be comfortable with that. What else do we have here? Okay, how about practicing? One thing I do if I have time is, and I make good notes, is I'll actually practice before I go to a hearing. And I'll write down what I would like to say, and then I'll actually practice it. I might practice it with my wife, I might practice it with other folks within our office, but I want to make sure they understand what I'm trying to get across to them. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I've done a lot of interviews over the years for people that want to get into the fire service, law enforcement, and such. And before they ever go into oral interviews, I always tell them to get in front of a mirror and watch how they speak when they're looking into a mirror. And the same thing can go with this. Practice, 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 and watch yourself. Watch how you present. It's always good to look at the audience that you're speaking to, but if you have your notes written down, there's no problem with introducing yourself and then starting into what you would like to display or to speak about to these committees and read it right off of your notes. There's no problem with that whatsoever. So if you're comfortable speaking in people and not going off of notes, that's great. But if you're not, and you want to make sure your notes are going to be something that can get across, you can read off those notes. In fact, that's how I would say 90% of the folks that present actually do, is they run through their notes and just read them right to these committees and such going on. The biggest thing I just like to stress, and Carrie, you and I talked about it a little bit, is just getting comfortable. Doing public speaking is something, again, that is very nerve-wracking for folks. But, as young people growing up, you're going to do just fine. And this will actually set you up for stuff that's going to be successful in the future. I've had people that have actually put on resumes and other things about speaking at legislation on different items. And, for the different things that they present on, I think this is an excellent opportunity for people to realize that this will be good for them, but it's also going to be good for the success of whatever the area is that you're starting to speak about. Carrie, what else can I help them with? Questions, answers?
Yeah, I was going to say, do you guys have any questions for Mike?
So it's a good thing to have our notes there with us if we needed them.
You betcha. Yep. Okay. In fact, I would highly recommend that you have things written down, and notes are something that you can read word for word. Or, hey, a lot of times I tell you, like brain teasers, I'll put certain words down that actually jog my memory when I'm doing a presentation. So however you guys feel comfortable with doing that, but notes are great.
I use notes all the time. So
I'm looking at them right now. I wrote some down so I can do this presentation. So there's no problem with that whatsoever.
Yep, exactly.
So Carrie, are they, when things do come up, will they have time to come down to legislation and get a tour?
We are going to do everything possible to do that. I know Marilyn is trying to figure out how to get the Clark County kids down, and we're working on, and trying to get the Elko County kids as well.
Well, hey.
We have enough notice if we do go before a committee that we can get in there.
Good. And hey, I'd like to make the offer, Carrie, if anybody's just happened to be in the Carson City area and they would like to come down, we'd be more than happy to take them through the building, actually meet some of our legislators, but also see how things work down there. It's a great opportunity.
Great. Thank you, Mike. I may take you up on that.
Please. No, please. That's great. We got we're very fortunate in R&R. A lot of our staff, we have several attorneys that have actually worked with the LCB, the Legislative Counsel Bureau. And they are just a wealth of information. And they enjoy. I told them what I was doing tonight, and they said, hey, if you need anything out of us, you let us know. So anytime.
Great.
So, and I can tell you, listening to our different representatives throughout the state, you guys have some great people, both in Clark County, Elko, Washoe. We've got them spread throughout the state. But I know that there's issues that are taking place on the agriculture side, the water side, the mining side, the land use side. And I know that 4-H is heavily wrapped around that, that venue and that axle on that. And so if anybody would ever like to take a look and see what's going on, please let us know. And another good point too, Carrie, they can go online to the Nevada Legislature and go over to Nellis, and all you got to do is hit the agenda, and you can see the daily agendas, and right next to those are a camera. Click on the camera, and you can actually watch online as the sessions are taken and watch the testimony and watch people providing information to the committees.
Yes, and that if you have not done that, it's really interesting to do that. I did that a lot during the last legislative session during our AB 407 discussion.
Oh, yes. Yep.
So,
any other questions from anybody on the?
I think I'm good with questions for now.
Okay. Felicity or Lacey, do you guys have questions? Okay. Well, great. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much. That was great information. Thanks, Mike.
No, and guys, I know it was quick and sort of lined out. I know what I'm talking about, but please get through Carrie. Anything you need from us at R&R or me, and we'd love to work with you, and we really enjoy having you be interested like you are. That's for sure.
Great. Thank you so much, Mike.
Carrie, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
And for everybody else, stay on for a few more minutes. I just want to talk a little bit about the letters to the legislature that we have that Marilyn talked to you guys about. And Felicity, the content of yours was perfect. So Felicity sent me a copy of hers and talked about, a little bit. She gave one fact, the fact that we've been around since, it was actually 1904 was when 4-H was founded. So nationally, and in Nevada, it was 1914. So, and I am going to try to get you guys some Nevada facts. There are in the Nevada box, I did put some of our enrollment numbers for the last year, just so you can kind of see, we had 87,000 STEM projects, and 23,000 healthy living projects, those types of things. How many each of our delivery modes. So please look at those. I think they're under session 3. I think that's where I put them. And then, but those are the types of things, and then talked about your experience within the 4-H program. So, and then today I did send everybody a kind of a template of how to format a letter. I think it's, that's an important skill. That's one of those skills, kind of like the thank you cards and all of those things, that is really important, because we all, that's something that will continue as you move through your life. You'll have to write lots of letters of application for jobs. So it's good. In fact, I just was working, we just sent in a letter of intent for a grant application, and, needed to know how to format that letter. So happens all the time. So, and not, I want you guys to work on those letters. And then also your 5-minute elevator speech. And then what was the other thing? Oh, and then, if you get a chance to go on the legislative website, I think I sent the link in the last, in the email that I sent yesterday. Look at the legislative website, just kind of, I think it's good. And then Marilyn had suggested one other website, and I forgot to include that. So when I send out this, recording, I will send that link. It was like Civics 101 or so, I can't remember exactly. I wrote it down. I just forgot to put it in that email. And then I am working on some dates with the Clark County Commissioners, and then I need to get a hold of Liz and try to work with the Elko County to get you guys in to see those. Trying to think if there's anything else.
I have a question.
Okay.
So do we mail them like a physical copy of our letter, or do we email them?
Either way.
Okay.
Either way. I think either way works. They usually get them in both ways.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah. And I think it's good, because there may be a point when we actually need you guys to also send those at the federal level. Right now, our funding at the federal level is pretty, Nevada doesn't get a lot of federal funding in general, just because we don't have, it's based on how many farms there are. we don't have a lot of farms. So, but there may be a point. The reason I say that is because I've been working in this area for 25 years, and I see where we go through county cuts and then state cuts and then federal cuts. And it's just like this all the time. I mean, it just kind of goes in that pattern, and we're kind of almost getting to the point where we're at the federal cuts. And so we need to just, there may be a time we ask you guys, hey, can you send letters to our federal rep, those in Washington, D.C., letting them know how important the program is. Not that it would affect us necessarily, but it affects the entire program.
So we would send the letters to Washington, or
no, the ones you're writing now, send to your representatives in Carson City.
Okay.
Do you know how to find their addresses?
What's that?
Do you know how to find their addresses in Carson City? Because we're only coming up with Washington addresses for them.
Okay. Did you go onto the Nevada legislative site?
Not yet.
Okay. Yeah, I think that they're on there. If not, I believe that one of the last things that Frances, my administrative assistant, did before she went on leave was send me, or she got a list of all the legislators so we could then invite them to Capitol Days.
Okay.
So if you can't find them, I want you to try to find them on the website just so you can practice that. But if not, let me know, and I can get you their addresses.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. So, trying to think if there's anything else. Tonight's an early night. It was quick. It's okay. Still light outside.
Any news on Capitol Days? Anything else with that?
No, well, we don't have any new changes besides that we took it from 3 days to 1 day. The staff all just found out this afternoon that happened. I don't know if you saw that, Lacey. But, and for those of you in Clark County, I know you talk to the county because there may be some funding to help you guys get there. So
I might have a problem too getting to Capitol Days.
Okay.
Because our county doesn't know if we'll be able to do it.
Okay, and I've got to talk. I know I've got to talk to Liz and see what's all happening with the Elko County group.
What day is that?
It's April 29th. It's on a Monday. And I'll have letters available if anybody needs them for school excuses of why you're coming. What we've done is we've taken it from the 3 days or 2.5 days or whatever it is to 1 day, and we're going to start with the legislative breakfast. For Clark County, you guys will probably still have to come over on Sunday just because we can't start any later than 6:30 Monday morning. We tried, but in order to get the legislators there, it has to be before their committee meetings, and committee meetings start at 9. So we're going to start with the legislative breakfast. And then we're going to move into, then you're going to have an opportunity to meet with your legislators to go observe. And then we're working on trying to get, so the youth that attend can sit on the floor, like on the assembly floor. And then also we're going to set up, and I was just thinking, gosh, I'm going to work on some Capitol tours, but if it doesn't work out, I'm going to call Mike and say, hey, can you set up some tours for us? And then we're going to close out about 3:30 with a meeting. Just everybody get together. We're also going to take a big group picture, and then we're going to all get together and kind of have a debrief. And so you'll be done by 5. And I know for you guys, they were either talking about bringing the vans or even maybe flying people down. So I don't know, Lacey, if Eric's talked to you guys yet or not. I know he was talking to the other staff, and it's open to volunteers, youth, and alumni now, not just the youth. So if you have any alumni that want to come or volunteers that want to come, I'm working on some sponsorships right now. I'm going to meet with our development person tomorrow, actually, to see if he has any ideas of people we can ask for to help sponsor the breakfast. And everybody will get a lapel, like a 4-H lapel pin. I had originally thought about getting everybody polo shirts, but then I decided without a registration fee, I can't afford that. I'd love to. And if I can,
If I wanted to go with Felicity as her mom, but also as the club leader for Sandy Valley, could I come?
Yes, it's
Okay.
open. It's open
Okay.
to you.
Okay. Because Felicity does have a state conference. It starts Thursday and it goes until Sunday evening. But if we caught a late flight to Reno, we should be able to make it Monday morning, like, for Monday.
Yeah, and there's flights that leave at like 9 or 10 at night.
Okay. We should be able to
I'm
do
actually
that.
looking at flights right now. There's a lot of flights out of Vegas up to Reno. So
Yeah.
And what are they pricing at? Do you know?
I found some if we left like Monday morning and we got there early, it's about $78.
Oh, that's nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then coming back if we left like late that night,
Uh-huh.
$78.
Okay.
Through Southwest. So I mean,
And
I'm sure
then you guys have funding for that, or do we buy it, or how does that work?
I would check with the county office for you guys in Clark and see I don't know what all Eric decided on paying for. I know
Okay,
he was
fair enough.
going to help fund some people to come because he knew how critical it was that we have people that come.
Perfect. I'll check with them then. Thank you.
And we do still have a block of rooms reserved at the plaza. Like, I haven't even released the rooms yet at the plaza, but we have those reserved for Friday or for Sunday night because we know people are going to have to come in that
Okay.
night.
And what do those run? I'm sorry to talk about money, but
No, it's okay. Those are $72 a night. So they're really pretty reasonable, and you could put
Okay.
4 kids in a room if you had.
Sure, of course.
It's like, hey, cram rooms. So, yeah. And we don't have anything formal going on Sunday night, but if there's enough kids there, then there may be, an activity or something for them, but we aren't going to have anything like formal.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yep. So, and then Layla, I will talk to Liz tomorrow, and then I'll make sure that she gets a hold of all of you guys from Elko, find out what they're doing with your guys' group. Because originally Elko County had the largest, the reason we cut it, so you guys know, the reason we cut it down to 1 day is we only had 14 kids sign up. And so we figured if it's 1 day, it's a little bit cheaper, and you don't have as many hotel costs, and we don't have to charge the registration fee. So we're hoping that in the future we can get it back up and be a full educational event. But right now, I think it's important for the youth to see the community or see the Capitol as well.
Okay. And I was wondering if our county doesn't participate in it, is there any way that you guys, or I know you said you would help us get it up there?
Especially with this group, I will figure out how I can help pay for at least part of it. And same goes, if in Clark, however much, whatever Eric decides, if there's still some money, then let me know. With our 10 kids that are in this program.
I'm speaking with Karen Best now, and she said we're hoping there's funding. So
okay. When I was with him last week, I was at a conference with Eric last week, and he made every indication that he was gonna.
Perfect. Okay.
So, but yeah, but I can help with at least partial. We'll work on. I'll have to look at my funding and everything, but I think we can probably swing because you guys will be coming. Not only, as Capitol Days, but also to help, you've got all the training now. You'll have all the training and know how to do this. So. Great. Yeah, I think it'll still be a lot of fun. We're hoping to get a ton of kids there now and adults and alumni.
Awesome. With my sister, I don't know if you asked them about it, with her being such close.
I think, I didn't really ask, but I would say that, yeah, we could do that. We've got, a sibling that's 12, almost 13. So
Okay.
with siblings, that's different. We're not going to open it up to 12-year-olds, but if we have siblings coming, then I'm okay.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yep. There will be a registration that comes out. It's just going to be a simple, all I need is a head count for breakfast. So that's the main thing. So, and I'll be sending it to this group as well as the counties, and then actually I'll send it out via 4-H Online
Okay.
to everybody that's eligible. So that'll be out hopefully by Wednesday, barring no like major things come up tomorrow that take me away from that project. So. All right. Any other questions?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you, Carrie.
Yes, thank you, guys. On Wednesday, I know we have a pretty formal presentation. Nora, now I remember her name. Nora is going to be presenting on leadership etiquette and just like how to conduct, you know, like just a whole variety of things. She was going over it we were doing a practice session today. So yeah, so if you guys can participate, great. And I understand that things come up. So.
Any homework for us or?
Not this time.
Okay,
Just
perfect.
work on your 5-minute elevator speech. We're
Alright.
going to start practicing those next week. So you probably won't get out early next week.
Okay.
I'll have a couple people each time do it. So, okay. If nothing else, then I will let you guys go. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your week.
Yep.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.